Hello and welcome to Mastering in Logic's first look at Massive X. So this is my first look at this plugin, and I'm going to go through a few things that I think might help you get started using this. So here, this is the first look. I usually load everything up in Complete Control. Just a word of warning with anything that you download that is new for Complete Control. Just double check if you can't find Massive X when you download it and you're using Complete Control, not say Contact or Reactor. I can never remember which one it goes in, it loads in. But don't forget to go to your library and rescan, and then that will bring up all of your instruments that are scanned in there, and then it will populate in your Complete Control preferences. You could also rescan the plugins as well. I tend to end up doing that anyway when I rescan everything, and that means that when you go to your Complete Control library, you will find Massive X next to Massive, and then you can actually start to load it in the normal way, going through the various different types in the browse window or in the actual interface window here. And you can see, just the same as with Complete Control, you have access to types, characters, the menu here, but you can also get access to the menu here as well with all the different presets. And there are a lot of different presets as you go through. And let's actually take a look at some of those presets right now. So there's a whole variety of different sounds just with looking at the first about 7 or 8 presets. And already you have heard something that could be used in TV, this Al Dente Hollywood, Alien Contact, obviously sound design, Alkaline, and then this All Future, almost kind of like a combination between sound design and some sort of electric piano type, bell type sound. That's really cool. That could be used for both sound design, and it could also be used in the context of, let's say you have a scene in a film and you want it to feel delicate and sweet. But on the keyboard, I can add some anxiety to this. Which one is this style? This one is the, you can see you've got the macros here at the top. All right, let's crack on. All right, surely this is a modern version of funk. We should put a beat against that. It's like a slap bass with the mouth. That's really, really cool. It's almost sort of Stevie Wonder-esque. Whoa, and then we go to this. Whew. I guess anybody doing dubstep or grime or those types of styles are going to love this. Now, I saw Echo Soundworks say the reverb is unbelievable on this. So I mean, that could be something out of a Transformers movie. I think the takeaway from this is, without even touching anything here, you can go through these presets and you can get some incredible sounds, inspiring sounds straight away. One thing that you're going to want to look for first, I think, and I couldn't find this initially over the left-hand side, is initialize the patch. And I'm going to show you this one first, but I'm not going to talk about it, but it's blank. You only have to click on it once. I'm clicking twice, but you only have to click it once. So what will happen is that no sound will be created when I do this, and that's because it's almost, we could almost say it's semi-modular in its design, and therefore you can actually connect everything up, and you can move these things around and connect them a bit like blocks. But what you do is you grab these connectors, and for example, if I put this into X, I will now make a connection, and there you go, you can actually hear the instrument itself has initialized. So that's blank. But if you're not that confident about doing that and you don't want to do that, you can go to Massive X, and you can see that the routing is already placed for you. So you've got your oscillators, your noise, and then it's connected up to the various elements that will allow you to create sound. Just very quickly, one of the things that I want to talk about here is on the left-hand side with the voice, you've got these options. And one of the ones that I was looking at earlier, which I think is really cool, which I need to look at in more detail, is this section here where you can actually change, much like you can normally, you can create a unison. So straight away, without even playing around with oscillators or filters or anything like that, you can come straight here, find the unison and voices, just like you could in Massive and various other software instruments. The more voices you add, the more it kind of spreads and detunes, and then the more you can add width to it. What I really like about this, though, which I think is really cool, and I'm not sure right? You have to switch it on. So a lot of the parameters that you switch on and off, you switch on here with the scale and the button here. So you can see I can switch unison off completely. So scale is related to the unison mode. Now what you can do here is you've got all these different scales that you can use, much the same as with the complete control. And I wonder if this is where they've got the idea from, where on the complete control keyboards you can switch on the scales and you can decide on various different scales that you want and the different scale types. You've got the same thing here. Now this is really cool. So let's say, for example, if I do this, and I'm not sure if I've got this right. So I can actually, I'm not sure if this is playing the two together or it completely overrides. Now if I change this to a different mode, I think that's really cool because you can actually play music in different modes, worth exploring. So what we have here, this is really cool. I think this is a really interesting feature. So we've just got our patch initialized. I'll put a bit of voice on there. Now I'm guessing P is for performance. I'm pretty sure that was performance in Massive. Now what you have here, the same as in Massive, you've got these little handles that you can grab and then you can drop them on the various boxes like this. I think you can only drop these on the boxes. Yeah. So let's say, for example, I drop this on P1. Now what's interesting about this, and this whole section I think used to come under the LFO section, I think, in Massive. Now what you can do here is you can draw in various, if I click on that, you can draw in various different curves. So here I'm drawing in a filtering curve like this. Now this is where the magic happens in a second. You click on the number just like you did before with Massive, and now what will happen is that this is moving along, of course the filter will open and close with this as I've drawn it. But this is related to these buttons along here. And these are actually key switching commands. I'm not sure if they're called key switches in Massive X, but I'm going to call it a key switch. So that's the first one. Here's my next one. I'm going to set up, let's do a triangle. I should be able to just draw, yeah, there we go. So I can draw this in. I'm going to do a similar sort of thing. Let's just draw these here. Now, if I go to, I think, yeah, if I go to C0, is it? C0 and C#0, you can see that here I'm switching between the two. Now what that means is when I play a note, you can see that this is filtering up and down. But when I switch to C#1, envelopes, our standard envelope 1, and then you have these modulator 2, modulator 3. So this is working as a standard envelope. Envelope 1 is your default amp envelope. I'm not sure why that's not decaying. Oh, it's my sustain I need. There we go. Okay. So what's cool about this is you have your attack, your decay, how long it takes to get down to your sustain level, which is here. You can change the shape of that decay. with this. So I guess it would, in terms of this graphic here, which I assume is just your guide. I've seen some other YouTubers that have, you know, said it would be nice to have this visually update, and I think I agree with that. But it will give you some kind of information as to what each dial does. Of course, delay delays how long it takes before the envelope kicks in. So there, I hit the key now. And there's a delay between when it starts, obviously. So you get the delay before the attack phase. Hold is how long does it hold before it goes to the decay phase. And that's where you can get a much smoother decay on your down to your sustain level. Of course, you can see here on the attack, you've got a shape and a peak, and a shape and a sustain. Hold is how long does it hold before it goes to the release stage. And then I'm assuming velocity is related to the how hard you're hitting the keys, and therefore the envelope stage reacts differently to the amount of velocity that you're applying. But I've not messed about with that too much. Okay, and then over here you've basically got exactly the same thing with various different triggers here, and I've not explored the triggers yet, but in terms of this envelope, this is identical. But of course, what you can do is, as you can with envelope 1, envelope 2, and envelope 3, you can place them on a filter, for example. So for example, I could put envelope 1 onto the frequency, so envelope 1 relates to the at the moment, envelope 1 is relating to how I've set up the frequency, and therefore it's modulating the frequency over time. And you can hear that when I hit play the sustain. What would be nice is, I like virtual instruments now that actually show you visually what's happening here. That would be a nice little addition to this virtual instrument, I think, because it's sometimes nice just to have a visual feedback of, you know, exactly what's happening with the modulation. So let's say if I wanted to have envelope 2 modulate the filter, for example, again, I can do the same thing. Then next we have the LFO section here, and this again is an advancement, a development of the LFO section from the original Massive. And you can see that you've got these different, in fact you can actually select your envelopes, your exciter envelopes, and your switcher. In a way, you could actually say that you've got 6 envelopes or 6 LFOs, because of the fact that you can change these. Okay, well, not 6, because this one you can't change, but you get the idea, you know what I mean. So with this one, let's take a look at this. We've got different LFO shapes. You have your rate, and if I let's put this back on the filter. Now that's quite, and that's useful, having obviously the LFO level. Again, you can set a delay, set this to full. There you go, and then it kicks in eventually. Now the other thing that I think you can do with this is, what's really cool, let's say if I take LFO 5, I can actually put LFO 5 onto LFO 4 and modulate the envelope, the various different shapes. Which is really cool. I really like that. We could do it slowly. And then let's put LFO, let's do random LFO. on the resonance. I'll just play around with that. So there you go, you can come up with some really interesting sounds based on the LFOs. So there we go, that's my initial look at Massive X. So I'm Darren, thanks for taking the time to watch this tutorial, this lesson, this first look at Massive X. If you've not already, hit like and subscribe and click the bell button. I'm going to be doing some more tutorials on Massive X, going through various parts of this instrument in much more detail and uncovering just what this plugin can do. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Cheers.